10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, episode 41. Hey everybody, here we are at episode 41 of the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast. Welcome back. My name is Nick Manella, and I will be your host. Every week here, we hope to give you a short and concise jazz lesson that can help you out with your playing and hopefully teach you something new or reinforce a concept that you already know. So before we get started on the podcast, as I always do, a couple of housekeeping things. We would really like it if you have 2 extra minutes in your day. Please hop on iTunes, find the podcast, and leave us a 5-star rating and review. We really live off of those. They help us to get out to more people that can find this podcast useful. And that's pretty much how iTunes works. The more 5-star reviews you have, the higher you get up in the rankings. So if you like the show, you want to support it, you want more people to start listening to it, please hop on there and give us a little rating and review. That would be awesome. Also, make sure you go and check out 10minutejazzlesson.com. That's the number 10minutejazzlesson.com. Check out our blog. Check out, there's a lot of really cool stuff in our store if you're looking for new things to work on. And we have something really exciting coming out in the next couple weeks. We have a 60-day video course called 60 Days to Crushing the Blues. I am just finishing up this project right now, and I will be sure to let you guys know. Basically, it's going to be 8 weeks of lessons on how to get better at the blues and go from kind of just starting out to really making sense of that progression. So be on the lookout for that. I'll definitely make sure to update you guys, and make sure you go and check out the website. All right, let's jump into it today. So today we're going to talk about something that I think everybody has trouble with, including myself, and that's playing over really tough keys. So keys that have a lot of sharps, a lot of flats. It's going to be different keys for different instruments, but we all know that we have certain chords when we see them, we just kind of draw a blank and we have no idea what to do over them. So this episode is going to be about getting those keys to be more like the keys that you totally enjoy playing over, that you totally feel comfortable over, that you feel like you have options on what to do over. The good news is that any key can become like this with a focused strategy. So today we're going to focus on the key of D flat, which is a tough key for me. I've found that in the past, I am getting better, but in the past, whenever I see a D flat chord, I have some trouble with it. So we're going to talk about some very concentrated exercises and ways of practicing that will help you with a certain key. So tip number 1 for this week is going to be, myself and a lot of other jazz teachers, we always preach practice everything in 12 keys. And that's really important. That's totally true. But I think a lot of people go about it the wrong way. When we say practice everything in all 12 keys, we do in fact mean that. But I think a lot of people skew that to mean I need to practice in all 12 keys every single day. And what that does is that results in not enough time for your brain to grasp a certain key signature before you're moving on to the next. So my number 1 tip for you this week is think about maybe practicing over 1 key per day or 1 key even per week. This will allow your brain to really get into that key signature and not force you to go into a completely different key signature right after you're done practicing one exercise in the key that you're trying to make better. So what I'm currently doing is I'm trying to actually spend a week on a certain key. So this week it'll probably be D flat, since that's the key that I'm going to present to you today. So the key is to pick the key, no pun intended. The key is to pick the 1 key that you're having trouble with and really, really sort of beat it to death over the course of a day or even a week. I suggest trying the week thing, because that's really going to, every single day when you practice, you're going to be thinking about that 1 key. Now, I've tried to develop a couple different exercises over a certain key that I think will really help solidify it for you. So the first thing that we're going to do is simply play a major scale over that key signature. So I would sit down and I would play a D flat major scale. Now, I'm not going to write this out on the sheet because I think that a lot of you guys probably know how to play your major scales at this point. So let's just say it's not going to be on the practice sheet, but let's just say practice your major scale in whatever key you're trying to get better at, okay? Second thing you want to do is pick a different way of playing that major scale. So something that I've been practicing, and I think I got this from Sam Sadigursky on Best Saxophone Website Ever, he says to practice exercises that aren't originally written for saxophone, and I've been having a lot of success with this. Now, pick an exercise that's not written for your instrument, that's written for a completely different instrument, and practice that on your instrument, because it's going to provide you with some different challenges, some different ways of going about things that aren't necessarily instrument specific. So I've been practicing the Hannon exercises for piano on saxophone. So step number 2 and 3 would be to, let's say you're going to play thirds, okay, on a D flat major scale. Thirds are pretty simple. It's, you skip up, come down 1, skip up, come down 1, and then on the way down, it's the complete opposite. I'm sure that a lot of you have practiced this stuff already, but this is a really, really useful exercise to take a major scale and practice it in a different way. So here's what thirds sound like in the key of D flat. So if you've never done those, I can almost guarantee that they will open up your technique, because it gets you out of just running the scale up and down and forces you to do something different that's going to really open up the way you play your instrument. So definitely practice thirds. Now let's take one of those Hannon exercises. Let's start with the simplest one. This is Hannon exercise number 1, originally written as a piano warm-up, but I'm going to transfer it to the saxophone, again, for the same reason. I want to open up my technique and force my fingers to do stuff that they haven't done before. So this will be exercise number 2 on your sheet. So you can hear I only did it ascending. You'll notice on the sheet that I wrote it ascending and descending, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to cut myself off on the way up. So the third thing that I want to do is I came up with an exercise where I'm basically just playing arpeggios, but I'm going to go through the most common forms of arpeggios that I will see in most jazz tunes. So we're going to start with just a plain old D flat major triad and play some arpeggios on that. This will be exercise number 1 in the arpeggios section. So you can hear that's just a plain old arpeggio with no 7th on it. Now I'm going to move into my 7th chords. So I'm going to start with a D flat major 7, play the same exercise. Here we go. Now I'm going to change that major 7 chord to a dominant 7th chord and play the exact same thing. Now I'm going to change that dominant 7th chord to a minor 7th chord and play the exact same thing. Now, one more step for this week. I think I'm going to stop at this point. This will give you the idea. You can do a ton of other stuff, but I'm going to finish up with a half diminished chord. So this will be 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7, and we'll finish up with this one. So you can hear that's a lot of work, and basically what you're doing is you're taking the key of D flat or C sharp and you're just pounding it into your brain. Because really, if you think about it, the only thing that makes a hard key hard is that we don't have as much experience playing over it. So if you were to take these exercises and spread them out over an entire week, that would really, really help you to solidify that key in your mind and turn these really difficult keys into easier keys. So remember, yes, you do have to do this in all 12 keys. I recommend doing it even in the easy keys because these are all great, great, great exercises. But start with the difficult ones and spread it out. Spread it out. Start by spending a week over them. That means 12 weeks to get through all 12 keys, which in the grand scheme of things is really not that long, even though you think it might be at this point. Okay? So, send me some feedback on that. Let me know if this helped you. Remember, I always love to get questions because they lead to brand new topics straight from the people that are actually listening to the show. So make sure you send me some questions. I got some good ones on Facebook last week. And remember to go over to Facebook, 10-Minute Jazz Lesson Podcast, and shoot us a like as well as a rating and review on iTunes. Keep your eyes and ears open for the new Blues 60 Days to Crushing the Blues course that I will be putting out in the next couple weeks. And you can always email me with questions at 10minutejazzlesson@gmail.com. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. I hope you have a great one.